But if you're like me and you were more interested in the story of the game and you just kind of wanted to watch the story quickly, speedruns are not the way to go. And in fact, there is a lot of noise in a speed run for Ocarina of Time because there's a lot of running in the game, and the running speed is, it's not slow, but it's not the fastest way to move in the game. The fastest way to move in the game is to hop to the side or hop backwards. And so the speedrunners do that in order to kill like 1 or 2 seconds off their time. They will hop the entirety of the field over to the left. So you just get to hear Link hop over and over again. And he grunts whenever he hops. So yeah, I stopped there. And that's when I discovered Let's Plays, because one of the YouTube recommended was to a Let's Play. YouTube recommended. It sometimes works. So I watched a Let's Play of it, and that is where I started getting into Let's Plays, because I saw that there were people out there that were not only going to play the game, but they were going to talk about the game while they played it. They were going to make fun of it, they were going to crack jokes, but they were also going to show off the game and talk about how good some of these games are and how it makes them feel and stuff like that. So it was interesting to me, and I never really looked back from there. I've never gone back to speedruns. Speedruns don't particularly interest me anymore. I am much more about Let's Plays these days. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with speedruns. They're just not my particular taste. So that's what I moved on to. So I started watching a ton of Let's Plays, and I could name probably about 50 Let's Players, and chances are you've never heard of them. A lot of them have gone. They've stopped uploading videos altogether. Some of them even deleted their channel. Some of them went off and did other things. I could name some of them. I've already named a few. The ones that have left are like Necroscope 86, Moogle FTW, Gavarok. Who else is left? Technically Proton John, I would say he is left, even though he has other projects, but he's not on his main channel anymore. But I mean, I've watched so many people over the years. Who else left? Well, I could get into the StarCraft guys, but we'll save that for later on. There were so many people that did a lot of work in Let's Plays that just kind of left. They're gone. Some people stuck around. Some people still upload occasionally, like Deceased Crab, one of the first Let's Players ever. So it was only a matter of time before I found him. He's very sporadic in his upload schedule. But some of the bigger influences on me at the time were definitely the ones that I have mentioned. And I kind of adopted a lot of what they did into kind of my own style. So I tried to find things that I enjoyed from these people, from like H.C. Bailey or Chugga Conroy or Necroscope 86, Moogle FTW, SSOHPKC, I forgot about him, Nova, The Creatures. There were so many people that I was following that I enjoyed, and I tried to take aspects of what they did and use what I liked about them to make my videos good. And I've been at least mildly successful with that, I would say, but there's a lot going on at any given point on the channel. So I would take the completion side of H.C. Bailey, but I would read what was going on screen, because there were so many comments of people that were saying that they couldn't keep up with him because he wasn't reading out loud. So I decided I'm going to read out loud. I would read out loud like Necroscope 86 used to do, but I would cut out a lot of repeat random encounters because I would get bored when I watched that particular part. I've had to do that in a lot of games. When it was the action RPGs, it's a lot harder to do that, but when it's a turn-based RPG, I usually cut those out. SSOH PKC, he really helped me push the sarcastic side of myself out. He is arguably the only person that I've met that was more sarcastic than I was, and I would definitely use that as fuel. I definitely have a lot of that on my own, but I would take that and use it when I could. Who else? Like the Game Grumps and the Creatures, definitely how to bounce off and react in a funny way to certain things that are happening on screen or with other people. That kind of stuff. That would help influence me. And then when it came to energy, there was nobody like Moogle FTW or Husky StarCraft. There was nobody that had as much energy as those two guys. I don't know. It's almost like they took like 5 shots of Red Bull or 5 whole cans of Red Bull and then started recording sometimes. It was insane. But as I continued to watch all these people, I wanted to contribute as well. I didn't want to just watch. I also wanted to do these games. And there were certain games that I wanted to play that nobody else was playing. The one that stood out the most to me was Xenogears. That was a game that nobody wanted to touch. It was considered one of those games that you couldn't let's play because it was so long. The story was slow. There was so much dialogue that you couldn't keep it entertaining for the entirety of the let's play. And I didn't necessarily want to show that that was wrong, but I wanted to show the game. And let's playing was an easy way for me to do that, I thought. But I knew that I wasn't ready for that right off the bat, so instead I went toward StarCraft 2. That's where my videos started. I do not recommend watching those videos, but they're still up if you want to, but I wouldn't recommend it. That was what was popular at the time. At the time that I started, you didn't really make money on YouTube. Nobody really made money. I had heard that you could with Machinima, and then there was this new place called the Game Station that possibly could be a way for you to make money as well. But YouTube really wasn't a place for you to start making money. But the Game Station was a big influence on me when I started. Like I mentioned, Husky StarCraft was there. Also, Psy StarCraft, to a lesser extent, HD StarCraft. Never really got into a lot of the other guys. There were at least 10 of them, though, that were huge in the StarCraft 2 community. And what they did is they would take other people's usually professionals. They would take professionals' games, right? And in StarCraft, you could kind of save a video or like, basically you could save the game and you could transfer it to somebody, and then somebody else could then watch the game. So what these people would do is they would download the professionals' games and they would commentate about it as if they were sports broadcasters, basically, as if they were esports broadcasters. They would talk about the game, talk about the strategy. They would pause it, show you what happens, and then you could see who won and all these effective strategies and things like that. That wasn't necessarily my goal, but it was a huge influence on me when I started. I decided that I wanted to do more of a let's play style of StarCraft 2 multiplayer. And a lot of people really did not understand what I was trying to do. My initial goal was to show how I went from being a terrible StarCraft 2 player to being a mediocre StarCraft 2 player, and show that progression of how I learned as I went along. Not everybody was on board with that. I definitely didn't clarify it too often, but that was the goal. And it didn't do so well. It was not that good for me to kind of do things that way. People were used to watching professionals play and used to watching people criticize how the professionals played. So to come to my channel and I'm at the lowest tier just starting, here's my first match, they were not particularly happy seeing that. They thought I was the worst thing ever. They didn't like my voice. I was still kind of nervous at the time, all that kind of stuff. It's interesting. So eventually I abandoned StarCraft 2. I started getting sick of it more than anything else. It was definitely an influence of the comments that I was getting, where nobody seemed to like what I was doing. People just wanted to tell me how to play better. So I started only showing some of my better matches. At the time, a lot of people were being accused of only ever showing the times that they played StarCraft 2 and they won. That was not what I tried to do, but if I made a glaring mistake or a big mistake at all during the match, I wouldn't show it. I also got complaints that it's like, well, no, this is the same as that one that you did 5 matches ago. Only show me something if you did something new. So towards the end, I was recording, or at least I was playing probably about 10 StarCraft 2 games. And remember, each one's probably about 15 minutes. So I'm playing for like 2.5 to 3 hours worth of StarCraft 2. Then at the end, I would maybe be able to record one of those. So it would be about 3 hours for a single video. And I was still trying to do a video every day of it. And it was starting to get to me. I started not necessarily getting burnt out, but I didn't want to do it after a certain point. I'm like, I don't want to do that today. I don't want to sit there and play 20 games in a row and hope that there are 2 or 3 that I can record and get those out there. So I started moving away from that and trying to go back into what my original goal was, which was to Let's Play. And once again, I felt like I wasn't necessarily ready to do something big. So I started with a game that didn't mean a lot to me, which was the 7th Saga. That was an interesting game. It's not bad. It's just mostly known because every time you go to a town, you have to spend like 20-30 minutes grinding, level grinding outside of town. So even from the beginning, I kind of established myself as somebody that was willing to do a lot of off-screen work in order to get a Let's Play done. Like from the beginning, it just didn't bother me that much. It still doesn't bother me too much. But every once in a while, like 18 hours into Xenoblade later, it does start to get to me and I start not enjoying it as much as I used to. But I have a long tolerance for that, and I still haven't hit that really with most of the games that I've done. But yeah, that was the first full Let's Play that I did. I remember when I did the update video, basically announcing that I was going to slow down StarCraft and start doing Let's Plays instead. I did it in Super Mario World because I just need something on the screen. Of course, now I don't do that because I feel like I can actually talk enough to fill the space. But before, I couldn't do that. I felt like I couldn't talk enough in order to fill the audio space. I had to have something on screen so that you could watch something while I talked. The game that I chose to have on the screen was Super Mario World because I'm good at that game. I'm still pretty good at it. I went through the Let's Play. I would say that I did pretty well in it. But I did that, and the first comment that I got was from a guy that clearly didn't even watch the video. He just said, yeah, Super Mario World is great, but you should do more StarCraft 2. Remember, this was my announcement that I was slowing down StarCraft 2 because I wasn't enjoying it as much, and I was going to start doing Let's Plays instead. And that was the first comment that I got. So, yeah, comment section has been great to me over the years, but it's also been pretty stressful over the years. I'll talk more about that as we continue. But